What is going on, everybody? Another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures, and in today's episode I'm going to take you through the whole tune, so everything that we did to the car, how we got it to where it is now, why the reasoning why we did what we did, and the power levels, all that kind of thing, bit of dyno run footage, all that kind of stuff. But let's get into the sort of nitty gritty, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so what we actually end up doing is myself and Nick from Nick's Mechanical and Tuning, we installed the chip at tuning chip and done a little bit of a dyno run, and yeah, pretty much worked out what we wanted out of the vehicle. I went to sort of a safe, reliable power level, and yeah, here's the chip down here. We sort of hidden it away, or I hid it away, just so it's sort of nice and tucked in, not getting too wet, all that kind of thing when I go through big puddles. So essentially, the idea was, what I wanted to do is wanted to get a nice, safe power level that would be reliable. There's no point in me saying, oh, I've got 500 newton meters of the wheels, but you know, my EGTs are just going through the roof. So we worked out something that was pretty safe with the fuel to air mix. Sorry, the fuel to air ratio, and nothing that was going to sort of soot up massively, and we sort of found a bit of a balance. We did a few runs, and the end result worked out to be about 400, I think it's about 480 newton meters of the wheels, and roughly about 142 horsepower. When I equated this and worked it all out, I sort of got the original run, so the original run before we did anything, you know, did nothing with the tune, that kind of stuff, and we worked out that I had a baseline of about 300 newton meters of the wheels, so I've sort of gained like 180 newton meters of the wheels, which I'm happy with. And then I worked out how much drivetrain loss I had and all that sort of side of things, but it's got about 550 newton meters of the motor, so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, that's about as much as sort of a, you know, V6 AMROC or something like that. So I'm pretty happy with the power that it's got now. The thing goes like a rocket ship. You can probably see it in the bit of video here. And you can sort of see, I mean, how much power it's now got. It gets up to 100 nice and quickly. With the big 33s on it, there's no real struggle. Before I had the 33s, there was a massive struggle with the power. So this is the reason we did it. So the sort of the ins and outs of it, it's pretty simple. So this brand, so Chipper Tuning, you get a little module that you plug a laptop into. You plug the laptop into the chip, as I said, which is over here. And what that allows you to do is to sort of play around a little bit, put a pre-made tune in there. And then from the pre-made tune, you can really sort of go a bit wild with what you want to do. So what you're actually essentially doing is you're tricking the computer, or the factory computer on the car, to actually put out more boost then it's actually going to allow. Now these things spike out at about 18 psi, so they actually they peak at about 23, but what happens is they actually go back down to 18 psi. So that's the factory level that that these cars are allowed. Now we're now pushing about 27 psi from the factory turbo. Now look, there's the age-old question. Yes, the turbo is probably going to wear out quicker. I'm going to put a bigger turbo on it later on down the track anyway, so that is really not something that affects me. But I really am not making, I mean, I'm putting it at 10 psi higher than it was factory, and from everything I've researched, these turbos are pretty good There's a couple of guys out there sort of running 30 psi all day, every day, and without any dramas, or haven't really had any issues. So I wasn't too worried about sort of putting 27 through it. That didn't really bother me too much, and yeah, so far the tune's been on there for, I feel like saying, about 2 to 3 months now, and yeah, and everything's been fine. I've never thrown a code. What I had to do though is remove the traction control from the rear wheels, because with this much power it does spin up the tyres a fair bit. It is an open diff on the back, so that does spin the tyres a fair bit, and what was happening is the traction control would just click in every single time you tried to take off quickly, and it was sort of pretty much ruin any chances of you accelerating at any speed. It would literally just cut you out, and the traction control on these are literally they just cut all the power off. So I've removed that, so hence why when you saw the video of it sort of pushing to 100 k's, there's a few sort of error lights there. Now that is about the rear traction control, because I've removed the plugs and harnesses that make all that work. But obviously the benefit to that is I can actually use the power, and if I actually want to take off in a quick manner, I can. I haven't got the big nanny stopping me from doing anything. When I go forward driving, I do actually reconnect it, because the traction control in this car when I'm forward driving it's pretty damn good. I've said this before in my other videos. It's pretty damn good to get you out of any kind of not bad situation, but a situation where you might not be able to get out of with open diffs. So when I go forward driving, I reconnect it. I'm actually going to hook up a switch so I can just flick it on and off on the fly. So yeah, I'll have a look into further doing that, but sort of be able to do like a kill switch almost, where I can just use it off and on. So to be brutally honest with you, it's probably, yes, the best thing I've done to the car. I'm pretty stoked with it. It pulls off the lights. It drives probably 100% better. It drives like it did when it had the little 32s on it, but it seems to drive a little bit better now with fuel economy and that kind of thing. When you're on the highway, fifth gear and that kind of thing, it definitely pulls a lot harder in that gear, whereas before it wasn't doing anything with the factory setup. So yeah, it's definitely up there as one of the things that I'm pretty happy with doing to the car. I mean, there's plenty done to it, but that's definitely up there as one of the best things I've done to it, especially since I put the 33s on it. I think if you had the 33s, you've got to have some more power going through these cars, because they really do struggle with those big tyres. And anything bigger than that, yeah, as I said, you're into smashing CV territory and that kind of stuff. So yeah, look, yeah, it's definitely up there in my sort of top 5 mods I've done to the car. I know a lot of people have been asking about this video. Why haven't you put a tune video out? How come we haven't heard anything about the tune? Look, this YouTube thing is it does take a lot of my time up. So normally I try to make a quality video than just smashing out a video and just getting it out there. So I try to take a little bit of time, do a bit of research, and generally do a bit of R&D before I go sort of say, yep, go do this to your vehicle. So it's been sort of 2 months, but I wanted those 2 months to make sure that, if the car was, blowing smoke and I threw an injector or something like that, then I can't go out and say, oh, it's the best thing I've ever done to it, because, I've done damage to the motor. But as I said, so far so good, never done any, hasn't done any damage to the car. But at the same time, after 2 months, I can pretty safely say that this is, it's not nice and safe to do. These cars can take this bit of power. What I've done forward driving wise and, dune driving, that kind of stuff, the car can take it. It hasn't got a bigger exhaust on it yet. I'll probably put a bigger exhaust on it. That'll probably free up a little bit more flow. It's not going to give me any more power, I don't think, but it's definitely going to free some exhaust flow up, which should help out things with EGTs and that kind of stuff. But they sort of hang around 400, so I mean I'm pretty happy with that. So when you're on the highways, I mean it's pretty safe to say 400 EGTs with these motors. They're pretty sort of safe in that respect. I've heard people sort of towing big caravans and they get up to 500, consistently. So they seem to be pretty reliable little motors with EGTs anyway. Just don't ask people about the radiators, because there's a fair few people out there that've had radiator dramas with these motors. But look, I think the snorkel, the airbox, and all the other stuff I've done to the motor, like the intake system, bigger intercooler, all that kind of stuff, it's definitely helped. Look, I've gained probably 200 RPM from the snorkels, so that's something I can put my name to. With the snorkel, so without the snorkel, I didn't pick up power to about 1800 RPM. With the snorkel, I pick it up about 1600 RPM. So that stuff, that's definitely something that makes it a little bit more snappy. It hasn't given me any more power, but it's definitely made the car a little bit more reactive, less doughy in the low end, which these cars are pretty known for. At the low end, they're quite doughy when you're sort of taking off. They do need to be on that turbo boost to get them really going. So being a 2.5, I mean, that's small motor problems, right? You can't expect to have the torque of a 4.2 without the displacement. So yeah, look, as I said, pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with the results. As you can see the video, it definitely pulls like a freight train. And look, I'm pretty happy with the power it's got now. I don't need any more power. I'm just going to be spinning wheels, smashing CVs, all that kind of stuff. And if you're going to ask me, no, I have not done a CV. Pretty safe when I go forward driving. I try not to literally, flog the absolute hell out of it to get up a hill. If I can't get up a hill, I'll winch. So yeah, look, I sort of take that approach when I'm looking at big challenges. If it's big ruts and that kind of thing, if you're putting out 450 Newton meters of the wheels, as soon as that wheel grabs the rock or something like that, you're just going to munch a CV. So I've got my original set on the car, so look, I haven't done a CV yet, but look, I'm sure I will. But yeah, until then, I play it safe, and I take the line that the car's capable of. I don't take the stupid line, if you know what I mean. But look, that is another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures. I hope you like this one. I hope I've answered every one of your questions. If I haven't, drop me a question into the comments section. I'm always in there. I'm always replying. So if I haven't answered something in this video, please drop me a comment, and I'll answer it as my earlier convenience. But yeah, as I said, happy with everything that's done to the car now. Happy with the tune. Happy with the powers that it's putting out. So yeah, look, I can safely say that it's probably one of my favourite mods I've done to the vehicle. So that's another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures. If I don't see you in the next video, I might see you on the tracks and trails. And if I don't see you on the tracks and trails, I will see you later. See ya!